Hey everyone, this is the first video in a series that I want to create where you could watch me edit different things. I'll explain what I'm doing as I go along, and if you're interested in video editing, I think you could pick up some tips and tricks along the way. And for the first video, I'll keep it simple, so even if you're just a beginner, you could follow along and learn the program and what it takes to do some very basic editing. So today I'm going to start with a podcast for Joel Wall. I get quite a few Zoom calls, Zoom recordings that require editing. Some of them are designed to go just as an audio podcast. In Joel's case, he uploads the full episodes to his YouTube channel, and then sometimes we take excerpts from that and we add some branding around it. In Joel's case, we use the full video on his YouTube channel, and then we create a slightly different version for the audio podcast with the audio intro and outro as the podcast requires. So the challenge with this video is that it was started as a two-person Zoom call, and then somewhere about a third of the way in, we had a third participant join. So I'm going to start with just the cleaning up. Taking out all the garbage, the intros and outros, and anything that is not required for the audio podcast, and then we'll treat the video after that. So let's begin. As you can see, I already started editing, but I'm going to start this from scratch because I want you to see how I do this. So to import a video, there's a few ways to do everything in Premiere Pro. You can go into File, Import, and that pulls up the import dialog box. Another way to do this is double click in the projects panel. It's going to open up the same dialog box. And then you can go from here and just click and drag just about anything. So I'm going to go to recordings. I'm going to click and drag that into there. I already did that, so I'm going to leave that alone. Now, for the sequences, copy that. Okay. I'm going to create a folder with the name of the episode. Create a new sequence. Create a new sequence by going to here, this little button, sequence. I already have a preset, 1920 by 1080, 25p. If you want to create your own presets, which I highly recommend, go to settings. You could change basically anything here. I go with custom, 25 frames per second. I chose 1920 by 1080, even though the Zoom calls were recorded in 1280 by 720. I'd like to keep them at full HD because when I add graphics and the logo around it, and we use excerpts or even on the YouTube channel, I'd rather have that sharp and have the video slightly soft, which really is not that big a deal. You know, it still looks good even if I scale it up. So 1920 by 1080. I usually go with video previews. Apple ProRes LT. And then you could save preset. If you want to save this preset, you can click here, Save Preset, and give it a name. And that's what I did here. So I'm going to go with the preset I chose. I'm going to name it Sonovia with Annabelle Salame. Dr. Jason Migdal. I'm going to name this V2. I usually add V at the end of every name that I ever give to a file or sequence or an export. And that's an easy way to keep track of the versions. Version number 1, version number 2, because I've never come across something that did not require some form of change that was so perfect that didn't need any changes. So it's always good to have for naming conventions. Now, to import video, you can double click on this. It's going to open it up in the source monitor. Now, as you can see, I already created in and out points over here. So I'm going to clear that so I can show you what's going on. If you want to import just a small section of the video, you can go to the section where you want to start. Let's say I want to only take this part here. So you can go here mark in, the shortcut is I, go to the part where you want to go to, and mark out, shortcut is O. And now if I click and drag this into the timeline that I just created, it's going to just grab, yep, keep existing settings. It's going to just grab that section and put it in the timeline. Now I don't want that. I'm going to clear in and out, and now I can grab the whole thing, or I can grab the file from here. It does the same exact thing. Okay. Now, if you want to expand the video and audio tracks, if you're on a bigger monitor, if you have two monitors, you can expand by either clicking on the lines in between the video and audio tracks, clicking and dragging. That's going to pull it down. Another way to do that is by double clicking. Double click here, it's going to just open that up. Okay? I don't need the video to be too big, but what's important, I want the audio track to be more visible so I can cut visually. Another third way to do that is holding the Option or Alt key. If you're on a PC, it's Alt. If you're on a Mac, it's Option. And just using the scroll wheel, if you have a scroll wheel, up and down, it's going to expand that. And then you can grab this here and pull that up. Okay, let's begin. Oh, some shortcuts. I'm going to teach you shortcuts as we go along because I find that it saves a ton of time and many things are not really practical to do without shortcuts. So if you want to zoom into the timeline, you see the timeline is right now 12 minutes. If I start playing back now,
thank you for joining.
It's going to go very slowly. I want to be able to see what's going on in that small section. So I use the plus and minus keys on the keyboard to zoom in and out. And if you want to expand and show the whole thing, you click on the backslash next to the return key. So if I'm zoomed all the way in, I can use that to just quickly show the entire timeline. Okay, a few more things. Tools. There are three main tools I'm going to be using here. I'm going to be using the selection tool, this here, and that's for clicking and moving things around. The shortcut to bring that up is the letter V. I'm going to be using the razor tool quite a bit. The razor tool is C for cut. So I'm going to be using V, C, and then finally I'm going to be using the ripple edit tool, which is shortcut for that is the letter B, and I'll show you in a minute what that does. So let's begin.
Thank you for joining us.
First thing, I want to scale the video. You see it's a bit small because, like I explained, the Zoom calls are recorded in 1280 by 720. So I want to expand that to fill the frame. A quick way to do that is by right-clicking on the video and set to frame size. You'll notice there's scale to frame size and set to frame size. Technically speaking, these are both going to do the same thing. The difference is that if you click on scale to frame size, you'll see there's a little check box over there, check mark over here. And if you undo that, it's going to go back. Let's take a look at the effect controls and see what the difference is between them. See the scale is 100% over here. If I go to scale to frame size, it's still going to be at 100%. So the scale is happening within, it's not really changing the scale over here. And I believe that if I change the sequence size, it's going to automatically keep that. Even if I don't say scale motion properties, it's still going to scale it with the sequence because it's basically looking at the sequence, at the frame, and it's going to scale it to whatever that is at all times. I prefer using set to frame size because I like to have it changed over here so I could then change it and I know what percentage I'm at. Okay.
Thank you for joining us.
Okay, I'm going to cut out this piece over here. I'm going to cut to B, ripple edit, and if I click and drag, it's going to cut out that piece and move the entire sequence. Everything that's following that is going to move that to the beginning. Let me show you what it is with that. I just did undo. If I use the regular selection tool and I just cut, click and drag, what happens is the video starts with black.
Thank you for
and then the video starts. I can get rid of this by clicking and dragging, or by clicking in this blank area and hitting the delete button on the keyboard. But the ripple edit saves all that, saves me the time by just doing that. It just saves all that time.
Thank you for joining us. We have Annabelle from Sonovia, and we missed Jason today.
Yes.
We're looking forward to just asking you a couple of questions. Thanks for coming on. Sonovia has been, I've seen you already a couple of months ago.
Okay. The next very important shortcut you want to know is, especially for editing really long pieces of content that you don't have to be listening to this at full speed, and if the person speaks very clearly and you can understand what he's saying, you want to play it at a faster speed. So the J, K, L keys on the keyboard are called the, I don't remember what it's called. Basically, L is going to play forward, K is going to stop, and J is going to play backwards. So let's try that. L will play forward.
I've seen you already a couple of months ago in the news about...
And if I continue pressing L as it's playing, it's going to keep playing at a faster and faster speed.
As soon as it started with China, coronavirus, we're addressing coronavirus. I see an article.
You can go really crazy here, but at some point you're not going to be able to understand it. So I usually just go one speed faster. I don't think it's double. It might be double speed. I'm not sure if it's 100% double speed, but
Now I hear that you guys are developing face masks in Israel, so I just want to get a little bit of a feedback of what you're doing to address this
and then if I want to continue playing but go back to normal speed, I just hit the J button and it just moves that back again. So L,
pandemic and a little bit of the operation behind what's going on.
Okay, so first, thank you very much for
J
to
now it's
introduce
playing at
me
normal
and
speed.
for everything.
J again is going to stop. That's
I'm
going to play up. Sorry, my bad. L.
Going on.
Okay, so first, thank
L
you very much
again is going to move that
introduce me
at a
and
way
for everything.
faster speed.
So here at Sonovia, we are using
J will play that back at
textile,
normal speed.
we are
K will stop. Okay, you could practice that at home. You'll figure it out in no time. So
There's a company that's developing this textile, and you are confident that this can...
what I mean to say is when I edit visually, I like to see the waveforms because you can easily see when there's when there are outtakes or when there's things that are different levels. If there's gaps that are too long, I'm just going to show you an example here. This is okay, but if I want to clean this up, I'm going to use the razor tool, C. C is for cut. Cut. B for the ripple edit. I'm going to grab that and pull it back here. Basically trim that black area, that silence.
There's a company that's developing this textile, and you are confident that this can...
I'm going to zoom in.
Confident.
I'm just going to cut out that hesitation, and now it should... Again, I'm using B all the time for the ripple edit. V.
Coronavirus, developing this textile, and you are confident that this can help against all kinds of...
That's that. Okay. Now I'm going to start playing this back at a faster speed. Let's run forward and let's see where this goes.
And you guys were shipping out some fabrics, some textiles to China, and now I hear that you guys are developing face masks in Israel. So just a little bit of feedback, what you're doing to address this pandemic, and a little bit of operation behind what's going on.
Okay, so first, thank you very much to introduce me and for everything.
All right, so I already went through this. So I'm just going to jump forward to where I know there are edit points.
To help as much as possible, but for that we need support. We need to work with many companies. We need pre-order, and we are looking for companies who will help us.
Oh, and we got Jason, but Jason, your background is a little dark.
Pre-order, and we are looking for...
Okay, now I know I'm going to have to reframe this when I set this up for export. So I'm going to find the cut point. Now you can move forward and backwards frame by frame by clicking the right and left arrow keys on the keyboard. There we go. So I'm going to go one back. That's the cut point. I made a cut over here by mistake. So using I just know the shortcut N. There it is. It's the rolling edit tool. It's hidden. That's why. Okay. Now this will not change anything except the cut point itself. I want to make sure I have snapping on, this little magnet here, snap in timeline. Press S to toggle that on or off, and then it's going to snap to that point. This rolling edit, N, as in Nancy, will just keep these two videos exactly the same, and it's just going to move. If you have two different videos that are attached over here, it's going to move the out point of this one and the in point of the following video. That's the cut point right there. Okay.
We are looking for companies who will help us.
Oh, and we got Jason, but Jason, your background is a little dark.
All right. I might need that intro where he says, oh, and we got Jason. So even if somebody is not watching this, they can hear it. And then I'm going to take out the but, because
But
I would cut this even for video, but especially for audio when someone is not really relevant. So I'm just going to cut forward until we get back into the meat into the subject at hand.
Better? Yeah, I'm Dr. Jason Mig.
so yes, number one, what are your roles?
I wasn't so prepared.
Yeah, so welcome in.
Okay, I want to go from here. And we've got Jason, welcome in. So we said B, we're going to do the ripple edit. And since we have snapping on, it's going to snap to that cut point. Let me zoom in. I want to create a slight audio transition here. The default video transition is Command or Control D. On Mac, it's Command. On Windows, it's Control. Undo that. I'm going to do Shift Command D to do the small transition, and I'm going to trim that to just two or three frames wide, so it softens that. It's a bit harsh.
Oh, and we got Jason. Welcome in.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's fine. Well, welcome in.
Oh, and we got Jason. Welcome in.
Thank you.
Yes, number one, what are your roles at the company?
Yeah, so I'm Dr. Jason Migdal. I'm a research scientist with Sonovia and investments for the products.
So, I mean, one of the things that impresses me now about a lot.
As you get used to editing more and more, you're going to start getting used to cleaning up very quickly by just, even while you're continuing to play the video. See what I did there? I just quickly cleaned up this little gap. It was not an issue, but it was kind of by instinct, I guess.
And investments for the products.
So, I mean, one of the things that impresses me now about a lot of companies, and that's why it's one of the reasons why I want to get a bunch of companies recorded now, is because we hear so much about price gouging and companies that are trying to take advantage of. You were kind of like launching the company. So, walk me through how it developed. So the coronavirus comes up.
Okay, so you got the basic idea of what's going on here. I'm going to go back to my edit. I know this is cleaned up and this was already done, and what I want to show you now is how to create. Let me show you how to set this up visually. So what I'll do for a podcast, I'll export the audio separately. Which, by the way, to export any file, you go to File, Export Media, or Command M. Just going to grab a preset from the format. I'll say MP3. Going to grab the highest quality over here in the presets, and I'm going to call this Edit V1 because I then pull this into Audition and do the audio treatments over there. What you want to do is okay, so this is the cut point right here. Let me show you All right, so I'm going to grab the visual elements from one of the other podcasts over here. I'm going to copy and paste these two things here. I'm going to explain to you in a minute what that is. Go to the beginning of the timeline because it's going to paste it wherever my time indicator is. If I paste it now, it's going to paste it from there. I'm going to go to the beginning. And by the way, I want to make sure that I deselect V1 because if I have V1 selected, it's going to overwrite what I have going on over here. So I'm double click to minimize that. Paste it on V2. Pull that all the way out there. Okay. Now what I see here, this is the Ask Joel logo. You could toggle this over there so you could see what it is. This is the logo. And you could change, by the way, when you grab graphic elements and other things, you could change the position and scale and all that by going into the effect controls and moving these things around. Or if you click on the motion, click on motion here, inside the program monitor, you can do all of that by hand. Now, I already set this up for many episodes, and I want this to be the same, so I just copy and paste these elements from one file to the next, one sequence to the next, and I then change the information here. So this right here is a graphics file, a graphic essential graphics. Go into the essential graphics. By the way, if you don't see any of these windows, if you're missing stuff, you can always go into window. That's where the windows reside, and you could pull up anything you need. So essential graphics, you make sure you pull that up. And sometimes you'll find that this is disconnected. It might be off to the side, and you might see something different. It looks like this because by default it's going to show up with the browse. They want you to look at their Adobe wants you to look at their graphics templates. Click on Edit, and there you can create text and graphics and some basic things here. I'm going to dock this together with the other things here. So you'll see I have a bunch of layers here. Essential graphics. If I click on this, you'll see I have some shape layers, and you can create new stuff by clicking this here. You can create a new text layer, a new vertical text, or rectangle, ellipse, and then you can play with these. Once this is selected here in the timeline, you'll be able to click here and move things around. Double click on this, change the text, and you can create your own things. And all of these controls are over here. Yeah, the text, fill, stroke, background, shadow. I suggest you play around with this, learn it, and have fun, you know? Okay, so this right here, let's change this to... Okay, so I pulled up their website so I could see more information. Gotta think of a good name to put up here. What I'm doing is I'm just clicking and dragging here. Now because over here I want this to be the same size, gonna delete that. Okay. Okay, now this is all good over here. Now one thing I want to do is I'm going to move these up. Let me explain to you. By the way, if you want to enter full screen for a specific window, hitting the tilde key, little squiggly icon on the keyboard, toggles any window where your cursor is over. If my mouse is over here now, I don't have to click here. I click, it's going to toggle that to full screen. Now, I'm going to pull that up. I want to have 3 windows over here. And the reason being is because I want to duplicate everything here twice and another time. I want to be able to do separate color corrections for each person. Joel needs to be brightened a bit, and I think the third participant needs to be brightened too, so here's what I'm going to do. Up till here, it's only 2 participants. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this third one for here. Now, I'm going to go to the effects. I have my effects right here. I'm going to pull up a crop. Drop that over here. Now I'm going to turn off the first layer so I can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to toggle 50% from the left. Okay. I'm going to copy this to these 2 over here. There we go. Now, this layer contains only Joel's. Now let me turn off that one, and I'm going to do the same thing in the opposite direction for Annabelle's. 50% from the right. Click on this. Command C. Paste. Command V. Okay, we'll get back to color correction in a minute. What we want to do is, let's set it up over here. Now, let's turn off the bottom 2 so we can just grab, this is going to be Joel. You know, let's create the top one is going to be Joel here. Let's grab a crop. We want it to be 50% from the left, and from the bottom, I believe it's going to be 50% as well. And I think we can crop this over here. Let me just see if he moves in. No, I think it's good. 67% is 2/3. That's perfect. So for the motion, I'm going to move that back down. And that's going to be around about there. Now, okay, I'm going to move it up a bit. Nope, sorry. This right here. Moving it up a bit. Okay, now let's do the same thing for the second layer here. Crop. This is going to be the new guy in the middle. So we're going to crop, say 33% from the left, 33% from the right, and 50% from the top. And by clicking and dragging the Y-axis over here, Let's do this for the third one. Grab a crop. 50% from the right. 50% from the bottom. And actually we want 67% from the right. There we go. And we'll move this over here. Okay, I think it looks good. I'm going to create a cut point for the graphic over here. Grab these, move them here. Then I can duplicate these, right click on them. Actually, I'm going to go to the essential graphics here. Right click, duplicate. Move this to the middle. And then we're going to add his name in there. His name is Dr. Jason Migdal, so I'm going to find his name over here. Yep, that's him. Copy and paste. Okay, I think it looks pretty good. Let me just see. Okay, now that we have each of these people on a separate layer with their own crop, I can color correct each one. First of all, what I want to do is, if you'll notice, there are cut points over here because I cleaned up the audio first, and it goes back to the way it was. So what I want to do is I'm going to grab this one here, go to the effect controls, grab the motion, holding the command key on the keyboard, click on the crop so it selects these two, and then do Command C. Grab all of these here. Just go here so I can see, and I'll do Command V, and you'll see it pops into the right place. Go to the next one, do the same thing. Motion, and command, holding the command key, I'm clicking crop, Command C. I'm going to do it here separately, and then I'm going to do it for all of these here. Command V. For the third one, I'll do this motion and the crop, Command C, paste it here, and paste it here. Now there's a bit of a problem here where it starts off in black. So what I'm going to do is find where his video turns on. Let me see, this is the right one. Nope, that one there. Trim this, and then clicking R, this is the rate stretch. So this basically stretches the video clip. So I can stretch it, make it slow motion, or make it fast motion. So I'm going to grab that and pull that here. Again, I'm making sure that the audio is not selected, just the video of him there. So
and we are looking for companies who will help us.
Oh, and we got Jason. Welcome in.
Thank you.
Yes, number one. What?
see, now it looks good. He's joining the call, and everything pops into place. Okay, now let's do some basic color correction. I'm going to go into color here, and just going to grab that timeline back here so you can see what I'm doing. And by the way, you can always go to Window, Workspaces, and you have the same workspaces I had one set up for 2 screens, but you should be able to set it up the way you like by clicking and dragging windows. It's just like a very fun puzzle. And then you could save a workspace by clicking Window, Workspaces, and Save as New Workspace. That's it. And by the way, if you don't see this panel over here, that's called it's called Workspaces over here on the bottom. See? And then you can just pull that to the top. Okay. Now I want to start with, let's start with Joel. Let's brighten him up a bit. Lumetri color panel, I'm just going to pull up the exposure. Shadows. I don't see much that needs to be done for him too. There isn't much to do there. Just going to grab the Lumetri color effect in the effect controls, Command C or Edit. Copy. And I'm going to apply it. Let's apply it first to these here. That's his there. And we want to apply it to all of his clips. That's that. Okay, let's work on Jason's next. We really need to open up his exposure over there. Let's pull down the highlights a bit so it doesn't get too weird in the foreground, and the shadows. Maybe we can add some saturation there because it gets a bit lost.
Electrical conductivity.
Now, if you want to toggle this on and off and see what the effect is doing, in the effect controls, you have this little button right here. Toggle it off, toggle it on. Okay, that's good enough for this. I'm going to cut this. Now I'm going to show you in a minute. Actually, let me just do this here. Edit, copy, paste it there, grab these two, edit, paste, and you'll see he's good. Now let's do Annabelle's. That's Annabelle's right there. And pull up, exposure is okay. Maybe add some saturation, looks a bit better. I might go back into Joel's and do some saturation as well over there. And I think she's okay, she looks pretty good. So, grab this, copy, grab all of these, and paste. You want to make sure you're not pasting again over the clip that you just did the color grading to, because then it's just going to double that effect. See, it's going to do it twice. Let's just undo that. Okay. I think we are done. Let's just see the cut point again.
But we need support. We need to work with many.
She's a bit bright. So I'm gonna take back some of that exposure. I think she was exposed okay. Maybe open up the shadows a bit. Highlights down. No. Never mind. Now, if I wanted to do a change like I did here, and I wanted to apply to everything, I'm going to do copy. Now, I'm going to grab all of the clips that she appears on. That's layer there. Right click, remove attributes. I don't want to remove the motion attributes. Opacity is okay. Time remapping. Just the Lumetri color. So I deselect everything. I'll leave the Lumetri color. Remove attributes. So basically, it's going to remove that effect from all of these clips. And now, paste. That's it. Now for Joel's clip, I want to add some saturation. It's good. We'll do the same thing. Copy. Grab all of Joel's clips. Right click. Remove attributes. I'm going to leave just the Lumetri color. Paste. That's that. Okay. All right, let's go back to my 2-screen setup. Okay, let's save this. And now I'm going to go on to creating captions. But I'm going to leave that for another time, another tutorial on creating captions. And you want to create an export. By the way, I left this space over here for creating captions. If you want to export this, you go to File, Export Media. And I usually like to go with H.264, which is the most, this is probably the best for YouTube and LinkedIn and all that good stuff. You can go with match source high bitrate. That's a good starting point. I like to go higher than that. I created this preset at 20 megabytes per second. And you can do that by going down here under the video tab, going to the target bitrate and saying 20, and save preset right here. There's a little button right here, and you can name that. I already have one 20 megabytes per second. Click on that, tell it where you want it to export to, export, and you save it here. I'm not going to export it yet because I still got to do captions, but that's the idea. Hope you enjoyed that.